Do you think you could forge mine and Rick's signature right now?
I think yours is pretty easy. It's block. So your signature is usually block letter.
Dude, mine's hard. It has a flow to it.
It's not.
You want me to do it and see if you can do it?
It's ridiculous. It's no. I couldn't do it because I'm not a forger, but I'm just saying I think people could do it easily. Yours is a little sloppier and a little more, inconsistent.
I bet you I could fool you with his autograph. I need a little practice, but trust me, I've signed many checks under his name.
Down on the strip where the neon glows, there's a little shop everybody knows, where history's bought and treasures are sold. Gold and silver, stories unfold. When the doors close and the lights dim low, Rick and Chum kick back, friends they get to know. Gold and silver by day, but at night, my friend, Pawn After Dark is where the stories and laughter never end.
Welcome to Pawn After Dark. Today we have Steve Grad, our longtime autograph authenticator and good friend of Rick. He's a good friend of mine too. But,
of course. I had hair when the show started, so I don't anymore. So it's been a long time.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So, I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. At the beginning of this podcast, okay? All right, the AutoPen in the White House. It's all over the news.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
So apparently Biden wasn't citing stuff. The AutoPen was citing stuff.
It was. So the AutoPen started in the 50s. So Ike was the first one to use it. Kennedy made huge use of it. And it's been used by all presidents.
Okay, but they didn't sign bills with it.
They really didn't, but they would sign a lot of letters, mostly letters, so correspondence. Even if you were a good friend of the president, he wanted to correspond with you, Reagan would sometimes give it to the secretary. It would get AutoPenned.
Okay, so this is so the AutoPen is used for, say, it used to be a big deal where you would invite the president to your wedding.
Exactly.
Okay, and you don't know the president or anything else like that, but automatically the White House would send back a letter or a card on White House stationery saying, congratulations on your wedding, yada, 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 and then it would have the president's signature on the bottom, and everyone thought it was the president's signature,
Exactly.
but it's AutoPen.
Right.
Okay, so AutoPen, it's kind of like a big machine.
Well, okay, so it started off as that. They were huge, and now they've gotten a lot smaller. They're pretty much tabletop now. So you could get one.
So the opposite of Rick's head.
Exactly.
Started off small, and it's pretty huge now.
But that's what it started off. These big, huge machines. Eventually, they've gotten it down small, and they use, it's a lot of it's computer generated, to be honest with you, where you could do different matrices. So you could do 8 different matrices of your signature that all are a little different, but they kind of look alike. Now, do I think it's something you should be using to sign bills, the pardons, stuff like that? Absolutely not. And presidents really haven't done that in the past.
Okay, so
Right.
So over the years, every presidential signature you've seen and stuff like that, like commissions and things like that, that's always their real signature. They don't use the AutoPen on.
For the most part, but we'd have to go back. But, there was so much stuff, even once in a while, proclamations. You've seen the big ones, Rick, from Ike. Occasionally, Ike, Kennedy, they had an AutoPen on there. It was pretty rare. But for the most part, they used them for just correspondence, letters. And if Chumlee wrote a president and said, hey, can I have your autograph? You would get back usually a facsimile, maybe an AutoPen on the photo. So that's what it was used for. It wasn't used for a real official business.
Okay, so if you're looking at a signature, how do you tell it's an AutoPen?
The characteristics usually stand out. Now, years ago, super shaky. They'd always have a start point. They'd have, it's hard because let's say John Kennedy had this really sloppy signature. You guys have seen it before. Super sharp, sloppy, jagged. It's hard for an AutoPen to replicate that, so it's super slow. And then you see points where it might stop, it might come down. It has a lot of trouble doing round things, so you'd see shakiness in it. They're very good now, though. They've got them to the point where it's tough to tell.
And it's like they're the same pressure the entire time, right?
Typically, and if you sign something, or you did, Chumlee, your pressure's different. It's not going to be the same. So your pressure would be different in everything you sign, how you write things. Mine is 2, yours is 2. An AutoPen, if you flip it over on the back, especially like a piece of paper, you could tell in 2 seconds. It's the same pressure straight through.
So what other aspects do you see the AutoPen used in? Because I think we've looked at some sports items before that were they weren't signed by the team. Would that have been like a person that signed them, or do you see sports figures using AutoPens? Or
sometimes Wayne Gretzky used one during his career. So if you wrote Wayne Gretzky at a certain time, the whole Michael Jordan thing. People would write them in the mail in the 80s and 90s, and sometimes they get back an AutoPen, sometimes a stamp, sometimes a secretary would sign it. But I just saw one today, actually, an AutoPen of his. So Jordan used it. Some athletes did. Some athletes didn't care. They would take their mail and just throw it out. But, yeah, they would use it, too, and they still do to this day. So there's actual players that still use it and employ it, and I think it's kind of it's a dupe. It sucks.
And what percentage of autographs would you say, we'll just say presidential autographs, come in as an AutoPen? How often do you see an actual real
50%.
one? What was that number?
50.
50?
If it's post, let's say it's post 1955. Okay. So you're talking Ike and up, at least 50%. Because especially Kennedy, I see probably 5 a week.
I guess, do you know where to get one of these AutoPens? Because I think I could easily grab Rick's checkbook and we can go shopping.
Yeah, why don't we talk later about that? It's not a bad idea.
You'll sign a blank check for us, right? Papa Money Bucks?
Sure, no problem.
I've got plenty of examples of his signature. We could put it in the Matrix, and we could just have that thing start pounding them out for us. Perfect.
So what got you into autograph authentication? Did you start out collecting autographs first?
Being a stupid chaser, waiting outside hotels, first ballparks.
But what got you into being a stupid chaser? Like, where did this all start for you?
I think my grandmother, my mom.
Do you remember your first autograph?
Yeah, it was Richard Dotson, who pitched for the White Sox. It was on my mom, we were at Comiskey Park in Chicago, which is gone, the old park. My mom hands me a piece of, she reached in her purse, and it's like a slip from the cleaners. It was yellow. She goes, here, take this. He's signing way over there. So I run down third base line. He signs it for me. I still have it.
And so how old do you think you were there?
8 or 9 years old.
All right, so from 8 to 9 to now, like, when did you decide you were going to become like a stalker type? Because we know you stalk Harrison Ford.
What? It turns into, it's an evolution. So I started as a kid going to the ballparks and chasing down players and waiting for them to come in and then inside. And then it's like, well, wait, they have to come to town for 3 days or 4 days. They have to stay somewhere. So you start going to the hotels. And then I'm like, well, if baseball players stay somewhere, basketball players do, football players, hockey. So, and then celebrities are in town. Oh, they're filming this movie, that movie. So it evolved into all that.
Okay,
where
so when did you start selling autographs?
I sold them in the 90s, on and off.
So how old were you?
Like
40,
18, 19 years old, 20. And then I elevated that and started just being a stupid collector again about 2002. And I just collected like a madman.
And then what leads up to the point where you decide you're going to authenticate signatures? What was the path like to be able to do that? And where was your first job?
It was pretty cool. I worked at an auction house. PSA DNA, which was really just had one guy on staff, said, hey, I need somebody. We had known each other. The guy that was there was Jim Spence at the time. And he said, hey, I really could use you on my team. So they ended up hiring me about 2002 from the auction house. And that's where it started because he knew I had a skill set with determining if autographs were good or bad. Mm-hmm. And he said, I need someone like you. And it changed really PSA's business. I ended up taking over and stayed there till 2016 and went on to Beckett and started their authentication division.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a hell of a racket.
And how have the tools of the trade like increased? Is there different tools that you would use now than when you first started, or do you just kind of do everything by the eye? Because you use that little magnifying glass thing, which I'm sure in the 90s you were just using a real magnifying glass.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a loop, a jeweler's loop, which I still use, but on the show, we had the Pro Scope that I hooked up to the iPad that wouldn't work half the time, and Rick would start getting upset because it's like, is this going to take forever? And then I couldn't get it to hook up Bluetooth, but eventually that evolved to they had the wireless one, and then I used the one on my phone, and it's just something of magnification that I could use to see stuff. I'm always getting new loops and trying different things out, but at the end of the day, a lot of it is right here and knowing what you have up here. And then I could go through my exemplars and try and figure it out if I have to. But a lot of times you just know it. You know, it just comes to me.
So what's the best fake you ever seen?
Oh, man. There was a guy who just got busted, I want to say back in COVID, so 21, I think. He was from Detroit. And this guy's incredible. He was a crazy forger. This guy outside Detroit had a farmhouse, and he had like a factory going in there. And he ended up getting busted by the feds, but he was doing Babe Ruth, Walt Disney, the Beatles. He was doing rock stars. He was doing presidents, but he made the stuff look so good. And it kind of harkens back to, I watched a series on Netflix. I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's like the Mormon murders or it's something along those lines. The guy duped out the whole Mormon church into thinking the documents he had would change the whole church. Like their whole thing they put out there, would change it. But he was forging documents of the Mormon leaders. But then he started doing presidents, and he had ways of aging things. And this guy in Detroit took it a step further, and he was absolutely incredible. But where he got caught up, he was doing artwork. And he started doing artwork from artists from like the 1880s, 1870s, obscure. But art experts started saying, wait a minute, starting to sell for $500,000, $800,000, $300,000. Let's start testing the ink. So they started running tests in the ink, which is very expensive. And they found out the ink was post-1940s. This guy painted in the 1880s. It kind of brought his world down. The feds got very invested in it. And I had told the feds about this guy back in 2002, 2003. And finally, they busted him. But we knew about him. And I feel really good about this. When I was with PSA, we took every Babe Ruth example. Because we were seeing all these Babe Ruths. They're signed weird. The signatures looked magnificent. But then you start seeing Babe Ruth's personalized stuff. And I'm like, I've never seen this before. Why is he personalizing like this? And it turns out he just made a forger mistake. He slipped. He was adding too much to pieces. Do you know what I mean? Like he would add.
He's just doing too much to it. Yeah.
He would add to Rick from your pal Babe Ruth. Like he did inscriptions that Babe Ruth wouldn't do ever.
That's because, like, even today, like you get a sports star or something like that. You know, or if you do find a baseball star that actually does do autographs for the public anymore. It's like bam, 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 bam.
They
bam,
scribble
bam,
them
bam.
out. Yeah. And that's what it looks like. But this guy had screwed up to the point where it was like he was getting too good. Like I saw a piece he did last week. To Liberace, Love from the Beatles. And it looked wonderful. But it was a photo of the Beatles signed to Liberace, and he would make up this elaborate backstory. Christy Mathewson played for the Giants, one of the great pitchers of all time. He ended up dying from exposure to mustard gas in World War I years later. So Christy Mathewson, there's a baseball from him from 1917 his last year, 16. It's got this huge inscription from the game and everything. And I had figured out this thing was a forgery from years ago. And we had a machine at the time, video spectral comparator, put in the machine. And I look at the ball and it starts picking up different things underneath it. And you could shine light on it. It's a cool machine. And we have one at Beckett right now. And you could look at different layers of something. It's really awesome. And I saw where they screwed up the inscription and then covered it up, went back and did it again. And it turns out he ended up doing that piece. It was a piece that he ended up forging. The guy was great. But it goes to trial like in July or something like that.
So there's probably some autographed Babe Ruth ball in someone's collection out there, and they don't quite know it's fake yet.
100,000%. Yeah. Or those pieces are still circulating people's collections.
And so you're extra careful when you're looking at autographs like this forger is commonly doing.
And it doesn't have to be Babe Ruth. It doesn't have to be Kennedy or Marilyn Monroe, but Michael Jordan is probably now the most heavily forged athlete I've ever seen. Even more than Mickey Mantle. Michael Jordan, maybe of any personality ever, it would be Jordan.
And so personally, have you ever made a mistake and authenticated something and it came back, more research was done later and it came back like that it wasn't, fake? Like maybe you authenticate something before there was certain, test available or something?
Yeah, I think for sure I've screwed stuff up, unfortunately. I mean, in baseball, Brooks Robinson was the best fielding third baseman ever. Gold Glover every year of his career. He made mistakes. He made errors. It happens. And then you learn. You want to learn from those mistakes. And we did do some of the Hankels back in 2002, probably 2000, right around 2003 when we started catching it. Because you start to see too much of it. And you're like, wait a minute. This doesn't make sense. So you tap the brakes and you say, you know what? We're just going to stop doing this.
But nowadays you just have all kinds of technology used, and
it helps a lot. And when you see stuff with fresh ink on it, or the ink doesn't look, that's why I want to really magnify stuff. I just saw, I'm not going to name because it would upset the guy too much, but I saw a collection from a very famous rock band from England. It was just too many of them, and the ink looked fresh, and it didn't seem right to me, and I wouldn't authenticate them because at the end of the day, it's not worth it. If you make a mistake on that epic scale, you can't get it back.
Yeah, it's one thing to make a $100 error, but it sounds like this was a $1,000.
How about a $500,000 error?
Yeah, you can't make a mistake like that.
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's really
so
tough.
Sometimes if you're just unsure, you're just like, it could be, it couldn't be, but there's not enough there for me, so I'm not going to touch it.
We punt it. It's much safer. Could always go revisit it. I could always go back and say, I'm going to take a look at that again. If we fail it, we could always go back and look at it again. So that's kind of my philosophy. And I've been doing this professionally for 23, 24 years. So, I've kind of kept that in mind. when
Do you
doing
think you could forge mine and Rick's signature right now?
I think yours is pretty easy. Yours is it is. It's it's block. So your signature is usually block letter.
Dude, mine's hard. It has a flow to it.
It's not. There's
you want
no
me to
flow
do
in
it and see if you can do
It's
it?
ridiculous. It's no. I couldn't do it because I'm not a forger. But I'm just saying I think people could do it easily. Yours is a little sloppier and a little more inconsistent.
I bet you I could fool you with his autograph. I need a little practice,
I don't
but
know about that.
Trust me, I've signed many checks under his name.
I don't believe it.
Okay, so we have an idol, I'm assuming Indiana Jones.
Of course.
Whose signature is on it?
Harrison Ford, signed right on the forehead. Beautiful autograph. He's the one who got it from the temple, wherever it was, and he had to fight through the blow darts and all that, and holes and the rock coming at him, but he got taken away from him. So it's kind of a
are we
cool
looking
piece.
at an actual movie prop here? And for anyone who can't see this, it's a golden-looking statue with a head the size of its body, and its booty is bent over right into Rick's face.
It's called a fertility idol, and it was worshipped by the Jovitos.
Okay, you know all this stuff is not real, right?
You sure about that?
Okay, so I don't know. So for everyone out there who's watching this on YouTube and not listening to it, I'm going to turn the statue around so we can see some really weird stuff going on with its butt.
I think maybe it's giving birth.
You don't give birth through that.
Maybe the Jovitos thought you did.
No, they know where. No, never mind.
They might.
I'm just saying it's okay. You didn't see that part. You didn't see the behind in the movie.
Because you hold it up, you see the idol.
So
but-
where did you get it from?
No, okay. So long story short, they finished filming the movie, 1980. All the props go back to Lucasfilm. So he's got an archive by then. It goes back to San Francisco area, and they end up going to ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, where they did the special effects for the movie. A couple of the guys there said, "Hey, we should make our own off of this." So they took the original, and they made their own prop off of it. One of the guys still had his because most of them gave him away, and said, let me make another series of these. So we did 12 of them for a select number of collectors. I was one. And then Harrison Ford did a signing. I think I did this maybe 7-8 years ago. I had him sign it.
Were you stalking him when you got the signature?
Not then, but I've stalked
So
him enough.
where
in my
does the
life.
man crush for Harrison Ford come from? Where did that start? Were you Star Wars first, Indiana Jones? Because you got a Star Wars tattoo. You're a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah, it was Star Wars first.
And I got to listen to you talk about Harrison Ford and Star Wars every time
haven't
you come
lately.
in. You don't talk to it with me. You talk to it with our nerdy camera guy when we're filming. You know you do.
It started with Star Wars and then continued with, Empire, Indiana Jones, and he was just the guy. I just loved him. And I love those roles. And I mean, they really were great roles. I mean, listen, I don't like the new Star Wars stuff that much. I'm over it. But his old roles in those movies were fantastic. And I know it's not your thing, but the Indiana Jones
last week
series
I
is-
just watched all the Star Wars. I just finished the last one 2 nights ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the movies. Yeah, I've done it
Really?
every once in a while.
Well,
yeah.
then why don't you watch
My favorite
these?
one is the one with Anakin. I like
Ugh.
the first one of the '90s. That's when I was young.
That was awful.
It's most people's. Some people's trash is another person's treasure.
I hear it a lot from people.
Just
your
because
age.
you have
I
bad,
do.
just because you grew up in a different time of Star Wars doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
Fair enough.
I
One
like
of the
it.
best scenes ever in a movie is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And the guy's just got his sword and he's da 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 with this big giant sword. This big guy, and Indiana Jones just pulls out his gun and shoots him.
That was a pretty funny story though that day. He had he was sick as a dog. Food
Who's he?
poisoning. Harrison Ford, sorry.
Okay.
Had the flu. They're shooting the scene. He's like, "Can I just shoot the guy and make it easy? I don't want to do the scene." So he just pulls out he improvised it and they shot him on the set. Well, I mean, not for real, obviously. It's not real life, Rick.
Yeah.
So, what would you say your favorite Harrison Ford movie is out of all the movies he's done, or your favorite character, maybe?
Oddly enough, I love The Fugitive.
What's
yeah.
that?
The Fugitive. The remake from the TV show.
The Fugitive was really, really good.
I thought that was a great movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. That's his best one.
I think it probably is one of his better films of all time. I agree. I think he should retire. He's too old now. I see him on 1923 or 1823, and the other one too. He does on Apple.
I saw him. I didn't see the whole series. I saw a few episodes. I got to catch up on it. But 1923.
Is it 1923? That's
Yeah,
it.
1923. Does a pretty good job at it. I mean, how old is he now?
82, I think.
Yeah.
He's right around. He's a couple years older than you, right?
About,
I am
20 years ish. I'll give you that one, Rick. You don't look a day over 70.
I'm 60.
Whoa.
Wow.
Spilled milk,
A
baby.
young 60. Okay, and I truly believe.
I mean, there's nothing a little Botox and some fillers couldn't fix.
Okay. Okay, I believe that like AI is getting so big right now, okay, and it's figuring out everything, and we're just like at the beginning of it. We're like at the beginning of the iPhone or whatever with AI. I'm just saying, in 10 years from now, I can go to like Grok and say, Grok, give me the formula for immortality, and I could live forever.
Well, I hope you don't live forever, but I do. I couldn't deal with you that long. But speaking of AI,
Well, I told
do you think
Angie-
AI is going to take over, signature authentication at some point?
Pretty interesting. I think I got approached about 5 years ago by a guy who was trying to develop a program for it, and it never went anywhere. But do I think it could happen? Yeah. And they're already doing it on baseball cards. There's a company that does it to grade baseball cards. It's all done by computer.
Yeah, there is a grading. The grading companies are starting to slightly adopt it. From what I've heard, PSA adopted some on certain
Have
cards.
they really?
I haven't confirmed it, but I heard rumors that they're adopting, or they do it on some of the modern
play
stuff.
devil's advocate. I think it's a great idea. Is it something that I would use all the time? No. But if you had, let's take Mickey Mantle, for example. If I was able to upload 800 Mickey Mantle examples, good, bad forgeries, clubhouse, secretarial, stamp, any kind of signature of his, upload them, and then say, okay, is this Mickey Mantle real? It would be interesting to see if it could discern between the two.
Well, you could also upload the provenance, right? This Mickey Mantle came from Joe Smo. Maybe like Joe Smo has a history that we don't know about, that the AI could go in and research all that, and they'd be like, hey, the Mickey Mantle looks good, but this Joe Smo character is pretty shady.
I think that is an added feature, but I think when you look at it, like when I look at it, I never look at the story. I want the autograph.
Yeah.
So for me, when people try to sell a story to you too much, it's usually bullshit.
Well, I just mean more provenance, like, because like we're talking about, this one guy had a bunch of forgeries. I don't know if he was connected to selling all those autographs, but if there's like one person connected to selling a bunch of stuff, maybe.
Possibly, but I think AI would be fascinating for it. Would it be the ultimate deciding factor? No.
So
I
you think
the person
there's
has to
still room for a human to give the final say on that?
be. Yeah, absolutely. Like baseball umpires. In the future, Major League Baseball is going to use, whether it's AI or something, but to judge balls and strikes. They have to.
Yeah.
So will they still use umpires? Yes. Maybe that judgment will be used more than an umpire's judgment. It's going to happen soon.
Okay, so like I'm like I said, a very young. I mean, I'm like one of the very first Gen Xers. I'm like the first 3 months of Gen Xers. Okay, when I was a kid, watched a baseball game. I mean, that was part of the game when the umpire called a ball over a strike, and you could just complain about the ump. And now they got like the computer seeing it and everything like that. I think it's kind of BS. I think it's it's human skill hitting the ball, throwing the ball, and I think it should be human skill judging. I don't think there should be any computers there deciding what's what.
Well, I think the AI would be good for strikes and balls, because these guys are getting paid a ridiculous amount of money, and human error is a huge part of it.
That's part of it. I think that's part of it. You hire an umpire, they decide, and
It's only part of it until you lose the World Series because a strike got called a ball.
And there's been calls where teams
But
have
you know
lost.
what?
Yeah.
That's part of the game.
It was part of the game when it started, but we're living in a model world, you young
Yeah, no, I
thing.
don't think it's cool.
And I think the NFL
Why don't we just have a robot hit the damn balls then?
And the NFL's changing the chain gang too.
Oh, yeah? What are they doing there? I haven't heard that.
For the yardage. They're going to use computer or AI, to judge where the ball's at, or where, first down
I think
and
that's
10.
BS.
And they're going
It
to.
just so. I mean, at some point, are they just going to okay, let's just get rid of the players and have robots?
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be
It's
surprised.
pretty much about, you're a couple years away from having a robot girlfriend.
I'm sorry, not cool with that.
You're not getting on board.
I
with
think you might like it, actually. You could just come home every night and you could program the robot to talk good to you. You're like, Rick, you're the best thing ever. You're so
about it.
handsome. I can't believe that you don't have any hairs hanging out of your nose. Like, it could tell you all the kind things about yourself.
Yeah, it would be good for you.
It would pump your ego up.
Angie already says that to me.
Yeah, but a robot would be a second.
Sure.
You could just get a robot assistant then, and your robot assistant could be programmed to give you compliments all day.
Or I just get an assistant and say, give me compliments all day or you're fired. Part of the job description.
Ridiculous a little bit. Yeah.
Just go around and just say how great I am.
So, where are you at right now with grading? You're working with Beckett.
Right.
How much stuff are you seeing, on a monthly basis? How much grading are you doing with this technology versus just your loop?
I mean, most of it's still by, site. So, I authenticate. It's hard to say how many pieces, but, yesterday I looked through maybe 400 or 500 pieces, but I had some big orders I had to go through. Some of them are really hard to do. I bounce stuff off our guys. Sometimes I check for live ink. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's obvious too, I still do that. I have my own company on the side too, which right here, Grad Collection.
Grad Collects.
Gradcollection.com, or, my wife and I run that.
Gradcollections.com. And what is that, like autograph? You sell autographs and such on there, or you?
So we direct people to our eBay page, and then we also consulting services. So if Rick, you want to know how much you add a fertility idol, I don't know how much it's worth. They could contact us, pay us a fee, could tell them what it's worth. If someone wants to sell something,
tell how effective the fertility item is.
How effective it is?
I mean, how effective is it? Well, can I just hold this and get a girl pregnant?
It's possible. I think that was the whole point of it originally, but I don't know now. But I doubt it. I mean, you want to try?
Okay. So, you got stuff on so you go to gradcollections.com. They got stuff on eBay.
Yeah.
Plus, you do consulting on some collectibles.
We do consulting, and if someone wanted to sell a collection, I could direct them where to sell it. I could tell them to go to see Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. I could say go to this auction house. We work with people like that, so that's kind of new.
So if I was to go to gradcollection.com right now, how much would a Rick Harrison autograph be? I know it's going to be more than mine.
Oh man, this is going to be disappointing.
You could tell us. You could break it.
Do I have to be honest?
Yeah. Are we in the $30 park range or something like that? Maybe 70.
It's weird. No, I think on what piece? A baseball or a photo or a piece of paper or
photo?
Let's go a photo. The most alarmingly attractive photo of him ever. I know they're not out there, but we're just going to pretend.
I've never
like
seen one yet, but I mean $40 to $60.
Okay, see that?
And what if it was on a shirt that Rick wore while he was filming it? Do you think
that's different? I think that's depends what episode, but at least $250 to $500.
Okay. Well, it's hard to that's pretty good. It's hard to pin a shirt to an exact episode because we pretty much will wear the same few shirts through a whole season.
Yeah.
So we could pin him to a season.
Yeah, a season.
You saw what a budget show it is. It's
I've been part of it. Yeah, for a long time. Yeah.
Speaking of the show,
yeah.
You've been around authenticating with Rick and me for 12 years, I think.
Yeah.
What would your favorite autograph be versus you think the best, most expensive one that we had?
The most expensive one we had was the first year I filmed is 2013. We did a Beatles contract, their first contract. And I still go back to this, is the coolest thing that I have ever seen. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Brian Epstein signed the Beatles to a contract, a piece of paper. He said, if I get you a recording deal in a year, we're going to rip this up and sign a real contract. So the guy had the real contract co-signed by 3 of the parents of the Beatles. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I think the guy wanted, $500,000 or something at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy number.
It was a crazy number. But is it worth it now? Probably, but that's a long time ago. And I think, truthfully, the stuff that I was able to do we did in England back in 2019, the Star Wars stuff was a lot of fun. We saw George Lucas's
I saw that coming.
whole script.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Honestly, we've done great stuff. We've done, stuff from rock bands and celebrities and so much cool stuff. But when I go back, I think of going to Elstree Studios and, Rick and I are walking right where they filmed the first Star Wars and Indiana Jones and honestly so many other great movies. And it was really cool to be there. We got out of the car and we're overlooking the George Lucas studio. It was a great thrill doing it. And we saw some great stuff, with the Han Solo gun. And I mean, it was awesome. I was glad to be part of it. Okay. Really neat.
So if you could give advice to collectors, because me and Rick talk about this all the time, there's kind of a time limit on when an autograph could be at its prime for most things, right? We're going to exclude things probably like Mickey Mantle, who's probably going to be timeless. Your typical celebrity. Let's say, they're done. Like, what's the period? Is it 20 years? Is it 40 years? At what point, do these start to go down in value after they've already reached their max peak?
Yeah, because you got we got movie stars that were really cool in the 50s, but you got to be pretty old to know who those movie stars are anymore.
So, yeah, you look back.
Yeah,
and
we'll
you
use
say,
this year right now. It's 2025. So just, like a rough time, not any particular person, but would you say, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years back? What's kind of the sweet point?
I think you go back to the Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them.
Okay.
You got to know when to walk away. You got to know when to run. And I think with the autograph stuff, you really do. Because you mentioned the old stuff real quick. Charlie Chaplin, Abbott and Costello, Judy Garland, Rudolph Valentino. I'd just keep going, Cary Grant, Clark Gable. The list is endless. The stuff is going down, except for the icons. So today, let me just ask you today, what's the girl? Selena Gomez. I mean, is she going to be collectible in 15 years? Maybe. She's scribble autograph anyway. You have to look and see and really think if that person's an icon. Those are the things that retain value. That's why you want to buy Kennedy when you see it. You want to buy Marilyn Monroe when you see it.
So like someone like Prince, he has another 50 years easy.
Prince, I'll tell you what, I think it's endless for him.
Okay.
But I'm seeing like a weird ceiling on some stuff where it's like, all right, we've had enough of this. But Zeppelin,
it's like Elvis stuff.
Yeah.
I don't get nearly what I used to get for Elvis stuff because the Elvis fans, let's face it, are growing old and dying away.
Yeah, they are. But he's still popular, Rick, but not maybe on the
not
level
like
he
was
was.
back in the day.
And there's only just icons. So Chumlee, if someone's still in the news, here's JFK is still in the news all the time. We talk about it. The files came out recently. That stuff is going to retain its value always, and quality stuff will retain its value. Mickey Mantle, he's going to be worth good money. Great money, there's too many forgeries. But JFK, Monroe, and then you look today's celebrities. Honestly, Harrison Ford, he's going to live on forever. He's going to be long gone, but people are going to want his signatures. They're going to collect that stuff because of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jack Ryan. You could go through so much stuff that he's done that people really love. And I mean, I really can envision people still watching Star Wars in 50 years.
So will I be an icon?
No. So who sets these prices on celebrity autographs?
Quick and painful.
Well, I didn't want Steve to hurt your feelings, so I tried to rush into the next question.
Probably good you did. Thanks, Chum.
Who sets the prices
the
for
market?
a celebrity?
I think the market always does, and you have to be realistic too. My wife and I talk all the time. We go back and forth about pricing stuff on eBay and not overpricing it, but also not underpricing it. So sometimes it's really difficult to find pricing of stuff that's rare or valuable. You have to find usually that, how many times have you had a really rare and valuable piece, but then you say to yourself, well, I only know one person who's going to buy this. You got to find a couple people that want to buy it and hopefully battle it out for a better price.
So it's like we were before the show started, we were talking about the Van Halen shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on the episode of...
The Van Halen shoes that you bought on Pawn Stars?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember those.
That episode hasn't aired yet, so, it's...
Were they stage-worn
who
shoes or
signed
something?
them?
Eddie Van Halen.
Okay, yeah, had a senior moment there for a second.
You're not old.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. So we have some...
shoes. I'm helping you out.
Okay. Some Converse high tops.
Right.
Specially made for Eddie Van Halen.
Yep.
Okay. And the same paint job of his guitar. What do you call his guitar?
There's a name for it. I can't think of it. But he used to pinstripe his own guitars.
Yeah,
but there's that
all
red,
pinstripe,
white.
like the guitar he played Hot for Teacher with. Yeah.
Right.
And those are like, he had those high tops, and I have those high tops signed by him. And they're like the only pair of high tops he had like that. And he wore them on stage multiple times. And I own those. And they're only like one of a kind. And they're Eddie Van Halen. And what the hell are they worth?
Here's the thing. You don't have one person that'll be interested in them. You might have 50. And I think those things in auction, you might have an endless number. You had 6 figures. You could be up there. And, judge it by what the guitar goes for. The guitar's being auctioned recently.
Okay. All right, Frankenstein. Frankenstein was the name of the guitar.
That's it,
Frankenstein is the name of the
Frankenstein.
shoes.
That's it, yeah.
See, I am not senile.
I knew it was in there.
Okay, there was a lot of stuff in this brain. Okay.
That was just so rapid fast. You need to relax and slow down.
I just want to, no, I mean.
You got so excited that you remembered.
I have a weird filing system in my brain.
I always tell people, Rick's really smart, but sometimes it's hard for him to get the words out because there's so much going on in that head of his.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're one of the smartest people I know. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he is. He's up there.
know?
Yeah,
I'm a great talker, but I know 10% of what you know.
Yeah, well, I'm not a great talker, but I'm really pretty.
But the rare stuff like that, getting back to that, is the stuff that you really want in your
the
collection.
iconic stuff. I mean, it's
Stop
just,
cutting Steve off. He's trying to tell you
Yeah.
about how much you're going to get for these. I'm on your side today, Steve. The first time ever, baby.
I fucking hate him sometimes.
I
Go
don't.
ahead.
I don't blame you, but he's a great guy.
I love him. I love him. It's a love him.
Truthfully, probably one of the coolest pieces we've done on the show.
I know, but what's it worth? I mean, because
Could you sell for $75,000? Sure.
Do you think that's an auction piece, or do you think
I
that's
personally
a
think
private
it's
seller?
I would not sell a private sale ever.
Yeah.
Because you have to put that in auction and have eyes on it. And you put eyes on it, you might have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people.
Yeah.
That's the type of
probably
thing
end up doing that with
you get eyes on it.
I'm pretty sure I bought those for you, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, no. Dude,
I should definitely get a cut of this because I've been making you money for too long without getting a percentage.
Truthfully, if I didn't say they were good, then
Yeah. You seem to forget. It cost me $500,000 a month to run this place.
Well, if you're spending that kind of money on rent, you could definitely afford a raise for me. So, Steve,
yes.
do you only get autographs, or do you also purchase autographs that you're into for your collection? And if so, have you ever overpaid for an autograph knowingly because this was the piece that you just had to have for your collection?
I used to overpay as a collector for sure, just so I could get something and no one else could have it. For sure, I've done it. Now, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So what's the most you ever paid for an autograph?
Not a lot. I haven't, because I've gotten so many basically myself or bought them low. I think I paid $3,500 maybe is the most, but I that's something I can't sell right now, unfortunately, but I think it's worth a lot. But I don't really pay a lot for it. I find good deals. I try and find things that I could flip quickly and stuff I can get out of. And that's kind of how I've always done it.
Let's break some news to Rick right now. Let's crush his dreams right now.
Let's do it.
Rick, you remember the Bob Dylan autograph that I got signed and I had it wrote to Chumlee, and then you were ticked off and just gave it to me?
Yeah.
Steve brokered a deal. I got $5,000 for it.
I did.
You gonna give me part of that?
It's gone.
It's gone. He spent it all.
It was sitting in my garage, and the record started coming apart, and I just
I'm
thought
kind of sad you sold that. That should have been framed on your wall.
it was framed, and it sat in my garage the whole time.
Rick, you can't take it with him.
Yeah, I had to buy some Pokemon.
Yes. Pokemon. That whole Pokemon thing. Do you guys grade Pokemon cards still? Pokemon cards?
Beckett
Pokemon,
does it,
yeah.
I don't know what anything is. I know that the only thing I really know about it, how crazy it is, but I know Chum has been telling me about it for probably, like the last 6-7 years, like just how crazy the market is. And, you've proven it because you've done great with it. But it's fascinating, but I can't. I'm nowhere near that
So
stuff.
what's the most expensive autograph you ever authenticated?
I think I did. It wasn't an autograph, but it was the basically the rules of baseball. So they were handwritten in 1870 something, but they're all the rules of baseball that they developed and started using. And a guy had it. He bought it out of a small auction for nothing, put it away, and then auctioned them off. I want to say about 2017, 18 range. And I think maybe $3.5–4 million, something like that.
And so what are you
I
authenticating?
authenticate
The
the handwriting.
signatures, like the people who signed it?
No, the handwriting.
The handwriting.
Yeah, so I got files from the New York Public Library. The person who did it, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, but went through all those files, went through all the pages of that, and it was literally the same exact handwriting. But I had many different samples of his. So I was able to match all those up and say, okay, that's definitely him. And I think $3.5 million, $4 million. I mean, it was somewhere in that range. And, the thing is, I've authenticated a lot of stuff like, a Mickey Mantle jersey sold recently that was signed, but it was game used and photo matched. It sold really for that, but I did have a part in authenticating that. And I, not a big part because the game use was part of it in the photo match. And that's why the photo match stuff is so important.
Okay, that's how we got like the
Van Halen.
The Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen shoes. That's how we authenticated them. You authenticated the signatures, but
Right.
we also authenticated that those were the shoes he wore on stage.
And there were so many distinct marks on the shoes. There was marks on the front. There was marks on the side. It's the way he laced them, and you could see that in the photos down to a T, and right on stage wearing those same shoes.
Yeah.
And
Photo
so
matching is amazing.
and and it's changed. So it's changed. Like a Mantle jersey might go for $5.5 or $10 million. Maybe 10 years ago, without photo match, it would sell for $150,000. But now those things have jumped so much. You know, there was a famous photo of Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth, and I want to say Gehrig's holding a bat at the batting cage. Just a really famous photo from 1932, 33, somewhere in the 30s. And I've seen the photo a million times. Well, they had the bat, but then they had the photo at high res and were able to match that bat right to that photo. And it changes the value so exponentially. It's really crazy what they've been able to do with the jerseys, the bats, and they want to do it more. And I think they're doing a little more with props and screen-worn stuff as they're able to start matching that stuff. And they look at your they look at the button position. They look at how it's sewn. They look at the pinstriping on jerseys. They get crazy about it.
Yeah, I mean, this was before there was like a photo matching service, but like a great episode of Pawn Stars that really pissed me off was someone walked in with with a straitjacket they said was used by Harry Houdini in his, in his act and everything like that. We're going like, got any proof of it? Like, not really. And Murray was able to get a ton of photographs. And we were able to match this thing exactly because, like, straitjackets, they're kind of custom made and everything.
Yeah.
But like every stitch, everything was perfect. And then we go like, dude, we've 100% authenticated your Harry Houdini straitjacket. So I think I offered him like 15 or 20 grand for it. I forget the number. And the guy goes, no, I think I'll keep it now.
After you did all that stuff.
After I did all that stuff, yeah.
That happens a lot. So what else is going on in the life of Mr. Steve Grad?
Just staying busy, just working. Work a lot with my business on the side when I can, and just building that up because at some point I'm not going to be an authenticator my whole life. I have other aspirations, and my wife and I like to travel, and
Can you even travel anymore? Because this old guy right here fell off a ladder in his garage a few months ago.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
literally like screwed himself up completely.
I mean, you're just a couple steps away, buddy.
I fell off a ladder we have like crawl space in our garage, and I was up about 13 feet in the air. And unfortunately, I know Rick would never do this, but the leverage wasn't what I needed the ladder to be at, and I got to the top of it, and it decided to go down on me, and I went down with it.
Ooh.
And I broke my ankle, and then had to have back surgery, after that too. So.
All right. Well, on a lighter note, are you ever going to stop dressing like a teenager?
I don't think so.
No?
I mean,
dude, like the jeans you constantly wear.
my wife dressed me today.
I mean, dude,
No, you look fine.
Stephanie
You
dressed
just-
me.
You
No.
dress young. You dress
well, no,
young.
he doesn't dress young. He dresses like it's 1994.
I dress nice.
Well, maybe that could be 94. I don't really remember that.
Do they still make jeans like that?
Obviously.
I think, at some point.
Yeah.
Listen, you've given me a hard time for years. It's
know.
never going to change.
I know.
It's okay. I don't mind. You have your own style.
I do.
Rick has his own style. I have my own style. I like it. It's casual.
Well, I think my style is casual and
I wear John.
comfortable.
I mean, this is John. Kids
Your
don't wear
wife
John
told me
Varvatos.
I'm just saying your wife said that she wants you to dress different.
Well, Steve, it's been a great time talking with you. I know all the viewers of the podcast have been wanting us to bring some of the experts on here and get a little bit of insight and talk to them. So I appreciate it.
Of course.
Go ahead and plug your website one more time and anything else you got.
Yeah, easily. Just visit gradcollection.com. Link right to our eBay store. We don't have a ton of stuff up there. We keep trying. And, I think the important thing is it's all real. It's all good stuff. Most of the stuff I've gotten signed myself and collected through the years. And it's to me, it's been a passion to collect it. And now it's a passion to sell it because I really can't take it anywhere with me. And it's not going to go anywhere. So it's got to go in other people's hands, and I hope they enjoy it.
Dude, you're going to live forever.
And if someone wants to have, say if someone's here in Vegas or they're coming here to Vegas
Sure.
and they want to meet up with you and get an autograph authenticated. Is there a place that they can get a hold of you at to show you what they have and see if you're interested in receiving it?
Sure. They could just visit Beckett-authentication.com and schedule an appointment, go to the office. Maybe I might be there, maybe I not. It's weird. If they come to the office, you've been up there before, so I don't mind if people come by. They make appointments. I've got someone that works there.
Okay, can we give you your email address?
Should I? Grad Collection and Consulting LLC @gmail.com. pawnafterdarkpodcast.com. I know it's long.
That's a mouthful.
Grad Collection and Consulting, LLC at
There's an
Gmail.
Is that the
Inside
first
joke.
time you said that?
Yeah, there's an inside joke here on his other email, but we won't mention.
But I
that.
but I do sign stuff if people ask me, and I do the show in Chicago. That's usually in Chicago, the National Sports Collectors Convention. I'm very visible there. Sometimes I do panels and do interviews, and I'm around our booth and I'm around the Beckett booth, so
And
people can come and see me.
sometimes you set up here at the pawn shop and you do authentications.
We do, yeah. So we're great partners with you guys, and Gold and Silver's been great to Beckett and me too, personally.
All right.
Great
Well, it's been
partnership.
great talking to you, and I would love to take both of you out sometime shopping and teach the both of you how to dress.
Oh God, man, I don't think I want to do
You've
that.
done that before and it doesn't work.
Yeah, please no. I'm going to take a pass, but I love you.
All right, so everybody, if you liked the show, subscribe, like, and we're giving out some free swag. Just randomly, we're giving out swag.
That's cool, yeah. I like it.
Yeah. It's gonna be shirts with like Chum's face on it.
As long as it's not yours, they'll be happy.
I'd put Chum on it, really, for real.
Yeah, you'd wear a shirt with my face on it, right?
No, I wouldn't. But Chum's, yeah.
This is Pawn After Dark.